Okay, you know how it is. You've got this pile of stuff to get through, maybe a big project, or you just really want to understand something. But, ugh, your brain feels like it's going in 10 directions at once.
Yeah, totally scattered.
Exactly. You want that focus, that deep dive ability, but distractions just keep popping up, right?
Always. Roadblocks everywhere.
Well, hopefully we can clear some of those today. You've handed us a really fascinating stack of resources, articles on mindfulness, self-discipline, fighting distraction, how sleep messes with your head,
Uh-huh.
the case for single tasking, the science behind it all, and even some really practical advice from a Reddit thread.
Quite the mix.
It is. So our mission here is to pull out the absolute key nuggets from all this, the goal, to give you a solid, usable understanding of how to sharpen your focus and, finally get a handle on those distractions.
Sounds good. Expect some aha moments, maybe.
I'm counting on it. Maybe a few surprises, too.
All right, let's dive in. When we talk focus, mindfulness is like a cornerstone. One of your sources really nails it. Mindfulness isn't just, a nice thought. It's about being actively aware right here, right now, but without judging what's happening.
So not getting carried away by thoughts.
Exactly, being present. And crucially, it's a mindset you can train. It's different from meditation itself. Meditation is more the practice you use to build that mindful mindset.
Ah, okay. So meditation is the workout. Mindfulness is the fitness.
That's a great way to put it. And it's not just about feeling calm, though that can happen. It's a real shift in how you experience things.
Okay, so if it's this powerful state, what are the actual, tangible benefits? What changes would someone really notice?
Well, that's where the science gets interesting. Research shows mindfulness can genuinely improve things like your self-control,
Mm.
your ability to see things more objectively, not just through your own feelings, more tolerance for discomfort, being more flexible mentally.
Adaptable, you mean?
Yeah, adaptable, sharper concentration, obviously, and even more empathy. And one source sums it up nicely. It all leads to greater mental clarity.
Mental clarity. That really does sound like the goal when you're drowning in distraction.
Right.
Now, for anyone who's tried meditating and just found their mind racing,
Hamster wheel. Yeah.
totally. It's good to hear there are other ways to get to this mindful state. These sources you gave us are packed with exercises. Where should someone even, start?
A really accessible starting point is just bringing more awareness to everyday stuff. There's one technique called watch your own movie.
Watch your own movie. Sounds a bit weird.
It does, but stick with me. The idea is you mentally narrate what you're doing, step by step, like you're describing a scene. Now I'm picking up the cup.
Okay.
It pulls you off autopilot, makes you notice how you're doing things, not just that you're doing them.
I like that. Adding intention to the mundane. What's another easy one?
Another good one is observe other people. But, and this is key, without judgment. It's not about analyzing them or deciding if you like their shoes. Just notice their posture, how they move. The goal is just to see things as they are, without your own feelings layered on top. It trains pure observation.
So less judging, more noticing.
Got it. What about when you just feel completely overwhelmed, too scattered to even try focusing?
Yeah, that's tough. That's where deliberately slowing down can be surprisingly powerful.
Slowing down seems counterintuitive if you're busy.
It does. But one source points out rushing often leads to mistakes, right? And you don't enjoy it as much.
Oh.
By intentionally taking your time, you often end up with a better result and find more satisfaction in the task itself. Sometimes slower is faster in the long run.
Definitely something to remember in this always-on world. Okay, let's talk more direct focus builders. The 5-minute breathing exercise, that seems doable?
Totally doable. Find a quiet spot, maybe close your eyes, and just focus on your breath. Inhale, exhale. Notice the feeling.
And what if your mind wanders? Because mine definitely will. Oh, it will? That's normal. The key is just gently, without beating yourself up, bringing your focus back to the breath again and again. Even just 5 minutes daily builds that awareness muscle.
Okay, 5 minutes. I can find 5 minutes. What else is in this mindfulness toolkit?
There's the body scan. You mentally scan through your body, part by part,
What are you looking for?
just noticing sensations, tension, warmth, tingling, maybe aches. It helps connect physical feelings to, mental stress. You could do it anywhere, like
Yeah.
waiting in line instead of grabbing your phone.
Using your body as an anchor. Interesting.
Exactly. Then there's observe with your eyes closed, especially good in noisy places you know well.
How does that work?
You cut out the visual noise so your hearing becomes sharper. You just focus on the sounds around you without needing to label them or figure them out. Just
I'm
listen.
kind of rehearing a familiar place.
Precisely. And the tangerine experience, though it could be any food,
Tangerine.
yeah, you engage all your senses with it. Really look at it, feel it, smell it, taste it mindfully. It's practice in focusing intensely on one single thing, letting everything else fade for a moment.
Training focus with fruit. I like it. You also mentioned tracking footsteps and turning chores into meditation.
Yeah, track footsteps is just about noticing the feeling of walking, grounding yourself, and the chores thing. Well, it's about finding presence even in tasks you dislike.
Like washing dishes.
Exactly. Focus on the water temperature, the soap bubbles, the movement. Find something to appreciate, even if it's just the clean plate at the end. It can make tedious stuff more bearable.
Could definitely use that for laundry day. And the mindful window.
Simple.
Yeah.
Look out a window, but don't label things. Just observe shapes, colors, light, movement. See what new details you notice in a familiar view.
Okay.
And the list really goes on mindful listening, naming emotions, gratitude practice, mindful eating, drinking, decluttering your workspace, really listening to music, silent moments in meetings.
Wow, loads of options.
Totally. Main thing is to just try a few, see what clicks for you. Start small. Build your own little toolkit for being present.
A personalized toolkit for presence. I like
Right.
that. Okay, so mindfulness is one huge piece. Another one that kept coming up is self-discipline. One source even called it a superpower. Why is it so important?
Well, it's kind of the engine, right? It's what turns your good intentions into actual action that lets you stick with things. The source suggested the motivation often comes when you realize how much pain your lack of discipline is causing you.
Pain.
Yeah, like missed opportunities, stress, feeling bad about yourself. You hit a point where you decide, okay, I'm done hurting myself like this. That's the spark.
So recognizing the cost of not being disciplined makes sense, but where do you even start? It feels
The
huge.
key, according to the source, is small actions. Seriously small. Don't try to be perfect overnight.
Right.
Just tackle one easy thing, then another. Build momentum. Break big, scary projects into tiny, non-scary steps. Those little wins build confidence.
Much less intimidating than a total life overhaul. What else helps build it?
Discomfort training. This one's interesting.
Discomfort training. Sounds unpleasant.
It's about intentionally doing slightly uncomfortable things, small things, pushing your edge just a tiny bit regularly, like maybe work for 5 minutes longer than you want to. It builds mental toughness, so you're less likely to bail when things get hard later.
Ah, like building tolerance for the hard stuff.
Exactly. And related to that is mindfulness with urges.
Urges to procrastinate.
Yep. Or check your phone, or grab a snack instead of working. It's about noticing the urge without immediately acting on it, creating a little space.
How do you do that?
One technique mentioned was, if you block time to write, tell yourself, okay, I can either write or I can do absolutely nothing. Just sit there. Suddenly writing seems more appealing than staring at the wall. You see the urge, but you don't follow it.
That's clever, like a pause button between impulse and action.
Yeah. And building on that is interval training for discipline. Think Pomodoro timers.
Right, short bursts of work, then a break.
Exactly. It helps manage focus, but it also trains you to handle that focused effort, discomfort, in manageable bites. Framing it as training helps.
Seeing those work blocks as reps in discomfort training. Powerful reframe.
It is. Another big motivator mentioned was a focus on others.
How so?
Connecting your work to how it helps someone else, your team, your family, your clients, can be way more motivating than just doing it for yourself. It adds meaning.
That really resonates. It's easier to push through when it feels bigger than just you.
Totally. And lastly, reframing victories and success and failure. Failure isn't the end. It's just data.
Data?
Yeah, it means you tried something. It's a learning opportunity. Don't get discouraged. And also, crucially, get support. Ask for help. It's not weakness, it's smart.
So self-discipline isn't about being rigid. It's about consistency, learning, and leaning on others. Okay, let's talk distractions, those things that pull us away. How do we break that habit?
First step, one source says, is really seeing what's going on. Like, why are you getting distracted?
Beyond just the phone buzzing.
Yeah. Is it fear of failing at the task?
Yeah.
Are you escaping into daydreams? Is it FOMO, fear of missing out? You got to understand the root cause.
So digging deeper than the surface temptation?
Exactly. Once you see the why, you can start taking action.
Practical.
Practical stuff. Close those extra browser tabs. Use a read later app so interesting links don't derail you now.
Huh?
Maybe even use a website blocker for your biggest time sucks.
Actively creating barriers. Makes sense. There was also a point about simply Sitting still.
Yeah, that was quite profound. Taking moments just to be, no agenda. One source called it rediscovering the miracle of life all around us. Distractions constantly pull us away from just being.
Hmm.
Sitting quietly for a few minutes, noticing your breath, your surroundings, it can lessen the pull of those fleeting digital hits, reconnects you.
It's a mental reset. Okay, shifting gears a bit. Sleep. One source really hammers home the link between sleep and focus. Skimping on sleep sounds like bad news for the brain.
It's huge. Bad sleep literally makes your brain neurons overworked and inefficient. Short term. You get super sleepy, obviously, maybe even those scary microsleeps.
Where you nod off for a second.
Yeah. Your attention span tanks, one source compared it to being drunk. You struggle to follow steps in a task. That's placekeeping. You get mentally rigid, less adaptable. Your emotions go haywire, and your judgment gets worse. You make riskier choices.
Wow. That's a lot of downsides just from one bad night. And long term.
Even scarier. Chronic poor sleep messes with memory, both facts and skills. And alarmingly, there's a strong link to the buildup of beta-amyloid plaques.
The stuff associated with Alzheimer's.
Exactly. Poor sleep seems to hinder the brain's cleaning process for that stuff. Some researchers think a big chunk of Alzheimer's cases could be tied to long-term sleep problems.
That is really sobering. And creativity takes a hit too, right?
Definitely. Sleep is when your brain consolidates information and makes new connections. Less sleep, less creative insight. That aha moment often happens after sleep for a reason.
So sleep isn't optional. It's critical for thinking, focusing, remembering, creating. Is everyone affected the same way?
Not entirely. There's individual variation,
Yeah.
probably genetic. Age matters. Teens seem particularly vulnerable. There's even some early research suggesting women might cope slightly better cognitively, but more study is needed there. And of course, sleep disorders like insomnia or sleep apnea make things much worse.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and interestingly, too much sleep might also be linked to cognitive decline, not just too little.
So it's about finding your personal sweet spot for quality sleep.
Right. And the good news is, improving sleep really can boost your thinking, sharpen focus, maybe even lower long-term risks.
What helps?
Basic sleep hygiene stuff. Regular schedule, avoid caffeine and alcohol late in the day, limit screens before bed, and if problems persist, definitely talk to a doctor.
Makes you rethink that late night scrolling. Okay, let's talk how we work. Single tasking. In this world, that sounds almost radical.
It feels like it, doesn't it? But the evidence is pretty clear. Focusing on one thing at a time is usually more effective and less stressful.
But multitasking feels so productive sometimes.
Feels productive, yeah. But that constant switching, context switching, actually costs you time and mental energy. Your brain has to disengage and re-engage over and over. It's draining.
So those mental gear shifts add up.
They really do. Now, the source did clarify. Sometimes it works. Like listening to a podcast while folding laundry, one task is automatic. But two tasks needing real brain power. Single tasking usually wins.
Okay, so for anything mentally demanding, one at a time, how do we make that happen?
Be intentional. First, consciously choose the most important task. Then, protect your focus. Use time blocking, set aside chunks of time for just that task, minimize interruptions, and maybe even prune your schedule. Say no to things that stretch you too thin.
Prioritize, block time, set boundaries.
Got it.
Now, what's actually going on inside our heads with focus and distraction? The science bit.
Yeah, this is cool. For ages, people thought focus and distraction were just opposites on one scale.
Like a dimmer switch.
Kind of, but now we know they're distinct brain processes. Focus is actively directing attention and suppressing the irrelevant stuff. Distraction is attention getting pulled away, voluntarily or not.
Separate systems. Okay. What brain functions keep us focused then?
It falls under cognitive control. Think of it as having three key parts. Attention itself, just staying focused, working memory holding and juggling info in your mind right now, and cognitive flexibility or goal management, adapting, switching tasks when needed, but then coming back to your main goal.
Attention, working memory, flexibility, they all need to work together.
Exactly, to stay on track and fight off distractions.
So what can we do, like right now, to boost that cognitive control? Short-term fixes.
One source suggests practical things. First, manage your environment experiment to see what actually helps you concentrate. Quiet, music, tidy desk, find your zone. Second, align goals, especially if working with others. Make sure everyone's clear on the target. And third, practice redirecting. Notice when you drift, gently bring yourself back. Awareness is key.
Know your environment, know your goal, practice returning focus. Makes sense. Any longer-term solutions mentioned?
Briefly, yeah. Things like brain balance programs, they use specific cognitive exercises, non-drug training, aiming to strengthen those neural pathways for focus and attention over time.
Interesting. Okay, so for those really big, tough tasks needing intense concentration, deep work, what's that about?
Deep work is basically peak concentration, distraction-free focus, where you can learn hard things fast and produce really high-quality stuff.
Sounds intense.
It is. It's the opposite of shallow work. Email, meetings, admin tasks, stuff that's necessary but doesn't require intense brain power. One source said we spend a huge amount of time on shallow work.
I believe it. So why push for deep work? What are the big wins?
Several things. First, you avoid attention residue.
Attention residue.
Yeah, when you switch tasks, part of your brain is still thinking about the last thing. Deep work minimizes that. Second, it literally rewires your brain, strengthens the pathways for learning and focus. You get better at concentrating over time.
So it improves current work and future ability.
Exactly. Plus, deep work produces better quality results. It's a rare skill, so it gives you an edge. And honestly, it feels good. Getting into that flow state is really satisfying, meaningful.
That flow state, yeah, everyone wants that. How do we actually schedule this deep work stuff into a busy life?
Good question. The sources offered a few strategies. First, pick a philosophy, maybe big think weeks like Bill Gates, or regular no-meeting Wednesdays. Find what fits.
Okay.
Second, create rituals. Signal to your brain it's deep work time. Specific place, time, rules, maybe coffee. Third, prioritize ruthlessly. Know exactly what high-impact task you'll tackle. Fourth, maybe track your time for a bit. See where it's really going.
Ooh, that could be revealing.
Definitely. Fifth, actively fight digital distractions, turn off notifications, choose tools wisely, make depth the default, not constant connection. Sixth, schedule real downtime. You need to recharge fully to do deep work well. Create a shutdown routine. And finally, track progress towards your goals. Keep score somehow. Stay motivated.
It's a very deliberate, structured approach, protecting that focus time. Okay, lastly, that Reddit thread. Real-world tips for staying focused, even if you struggle.
Yeah, this was great. It starts with a powerful idea. Assume you can focus, even with challenges like ADHD. Don't let limiting beliefs hold you back.
That mindset shift is huge, isn't it? Believing it's possible.
Crucial first step. Then it echoes other points. Healthy lifestyle is foundational exercise, sleep, diet, priorities, and acknowledging that building discipline involves slip-ups. Failure is part of learning.
Good reminder that it's a process. It also talked about the mechanics of distraction.
Yes, really insightful. It framed distraction not as random, but as a kind of persuasion. It convinces you to switch.
Persuasion, how?
It taps into core fears. Fear of missing out, fear of failure, fear of shame or inadequacy. It works on the micro level, quick check of email, and macro, avoiding the big project altogether.
Wow, seeing distraction is playing on our vulnerabilities. That's interesting.
Isn't it? And a key technique offered was time blocking, like Pomodoro, but with a vital twist. Go into each blog with a specific intention and a measurable outcome.
Not just work for 25 minutes, but finish this specific section in 25 minutes.
Exactly. That clarity creates a safe space to focus because it addresses those underlying fears. You know what success looks like for this block.
Makes it less daunting.
Right. And it stresses paying attention to the exact moment you accept a distraction. Don't see it as passive. Recognize the choice point. And if you do get distracted, just notice and gently return to the task within your time block.
Yeah.
No big drama.
Own the choice, then choose again to refocus.
Precisely. And one very practical tip from the thread. Identify your top 3 distractions, the specific websites, apps, habits, and actively cut them out or minimize them first.
Tackle the biggest offenders head on.
Smart.
Very actionable.
Well, this has been quite the journey through focus, distraction, mindfulness. It's really clear that concentration isn't just something you have or don't have.
Absolutely. It's a skill set. Yes, skills you can build. Through mindfulness, self-discipline, understanding why we get distracted, sorting out sleep, single tasking, deep work. It's all connected.
And the great thing is, you now have this huge menu of practical ideas and insights from all these different angles to try out. See what works for you.
Right. So the final thought for you listening is maybe this. What would happen if you consistently applied just 1 or 2 of these ideas? How could that start shifting your ability to learn, create, get things done?
Which strategy feels like the one you want to try first?
Exactly. Pick one. And if a particular area really grabbed you today, sleep, deep work, whatever, definitely check out the original sources for even more detail. Thanks for diving deep with us.